I was this close to giving up, and now 2 years and 8 months later, we have successfully continued to extended breastfeed, and I actually just weaned my daughter off. So I have some really great tips in here. I have some really good advice for you guys. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Alexis, and today I'm going to be talking about my breastfeeding journey, my full breastfeeding journey. But before we get into the video, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and even turn on our notifications so you get notified every time I post a new video. I'm going to start off by saying I have one child. I have one daughter, and her name is Riley. When I was pregnant with my daughter, nobody else in my family had ever breastfed. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be that hard. Truly, the only place I had ever seen breastfeeding was in the movies. So I thought, you know, baby comes out, you put him on your boob and it just sucks your nipple, which is not the case at all. When I was pregnant, I attended free breastfeeding classes that my hospital offered for us. One day it would be about the latch, you know, just all kinds of different things that would prepare you for breastfeeding, and a little bit of that class was for birth. So after I had successfully completed that class and I had, you know, went to the store and bought the nipple cream, I thought I was good. I thought all I had to do now was wait for my daughter to come out and we could successfully breastfeed together. So now let me go to the day of my birth. I was 20 years old when I had my daughter, and I ended up having to have a emergency C-section. So right off the bat, things did not go as we had planned, but I didn't give up. I knew it was going to be a little bit harder because when you have a vaginal birth, you can have skin to skin right immediately. Well, I didn't get that, and as soon as she came out, I heard her cry. It makes me sad talking about this because we're done with our breastfeeding journey, and it's like happy tears. But yeah, so I heard her cry. They handed her to my husband. He walked her to me real quick. I got to get a good look at her. I said, thank God she's healthy, she's here. And they took her out of the room. They said my husband could not stay in while they stitched me up, so he had to go wait in the room that we were staying in. By that time, I had been on so many different medications because they had to give me, I had my epidural already, and then I had so many other different medications that I had to have with the C-section. So by the time I got back to the room, I think it was like an hour and a half later, I was exhausted. I remember that the nurse coming to me and laying my baby on my chest, and I was coming in and out of it like with all the medicine. I guess it was wearing off, but I fully wasn't there. So finally, when I got to start breastfeeding, my daughter had trouble latching, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. It's going to be so difficult. And at this point, I didn't have any milk yet. My colostrum was just the only thing that was giving my baby nutrients. So I think by the second night we were in the hospital, my nipples were already so sore. I was crying. I told the nurses there at the hospital that I had a really hard time latching my daughter, and they gave me a nipple shield, which I completely give all the credit to saving our breastfeeding journey in the beginning. So once we got home, you know, I couldn't even breastfeed with the nipple shield or without the nipple shield at first. I would just let her latch on however she wanted. You know, I know she needed to just suck on my boob to let my body know to produce more, so to get my production up and going. So in the first, I would say, week, I really just cried every single feeding. She was feeding every 30 minutes, and I'm not kidding. And I just took it, and my milk did take a few days to come in. So I remember on day 3 we went in to get my daughter weighed, and she had lost a whole pound of her birth weight. So they said to come back in 2 days, and if she hadn't gained any more weight, they were going to start her on formula. And I was absolutely devastated to hear that because I was working so hard. I was exhausted. I knew my baby was exhausted, and we were both truly trying. So I said, you know what, no, I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to get this done because I know this is what I want for my baby. So my milk came in that night, and after that, when I took her back, she had regained that pound plus a few more ounces. So the doctor said, you're right on track. Your milk has come in. Congratulations and good luck on your breastfeeding journey. They said it is normal. It is normal to feel uncomfortable, which I knew it wasn't normal to feel like this. I knew breastfeeding, from what I heard in my classes, was not supposed to feel uncomfortable. So don't be afraid to reach out to your nearest lactation consultant, because that is what I had to do, and I am so glad that I did that in the early days. So if you're not sure where to find one, my hospital offered a lactation consultant, and it wasn't too far from our home. So we headed over there. She showed me some different positions, and I told her, look, I really am having a hard time, and I cannot breastfeed without the nipple shield. I know some people are not for the nipple shield, but this is what helped me and my baby, so I'm going to let you guys know, because if you are using a nipple shield, it's okay. It's not going to last forever. It's to help your baby until they are able to latch correctly on their own. So I used the boppy. The boppy was a major lifesaver, especially since I had my C-section and I really couldn't have anything below, like, you know, this area really was just so tender. So I put the boppy and it would actually hold my baby up, so she was, you know, really close to my boob and I wouldn't have to bend, because, you know, a C-section is major abdominal surgery, so I was sore for weeks. So yeah, my lactation consultant had showed me some different feeding positions. She said that it's okay to use a nipple shield as long as I need to, as long as my baby is getting the milk from my boob, that's fine. So what I went out and did is I bought 2 nipple shields, one to keep at home, one to keep in the diaper bag, so I wouldn't have to worry about ever being without one. And I tried every single kind of nipple cream. I couldn't find any that worked for me, so I just stopped. I stopped because it was such a horrible experience, because I was using the nipple shield, but the cream would make it slide down, and it was just a mess for me. So I stopped using the nipple cream and I decided to strictly breastfeed with my nipple shield. So it was hard at first, but after it got easier, the soreness went away, and I was able to successfully and comfortably breastfeed with my nipple shield. By 3 months, my daughter had become a pro at breastfeeding with the nipple shield. So I knew I didn't want to use this nipple shield forever, so I just took it off and said, today's the day where she is going to latch without the nipple shield. She was stronger by this time. She can open her mouth wider. So, and you know, when your baby's hungry, they're not even gonna remember that the nipple shield's not there, because they're just so hungry they're gonna open their mouth for your boob. And luckily we were able to get rid of the nipple shield. I still did use it every now and again, but I didn't count on it every single feed. And if you're still using it after 3 or 4 months, that's okay. I'm just letting you know my journey. And if you're watching this and you're 2 months into your breastfeeding journey and you're still using the nipple shield and you're feeling guilty because you hear from so many other places you shouldn't use it, it's okay. I breastfed my daughter for 2 years and 8 months, and we made it. We made it. Even though we had to use a nipple shield for a little bit longer, we still made it, and I'm just letting you guys know that it is completely normal as well. I didn't ever put too much stress on myself for pumping. Once my daughter started sleeping a longer time span at night for like 4 to 6 hours, like let's just say I put her to bed at 8 p.m. and I had just fed her. My boobs didn't really have any milk, so around 10 or 11, she was still asleep. I would pump, and then she wouldn't wake up until 2. So, you know, my boobs had some time to get some more milk in there and everything like that. And I never really I had a small stash, but that was just for emergencies if I needed to go somewhere really quick and I wanted to have a bottle on hand. I just had a little stash in the freezer. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I know for other mothers who go back to work it was different. I'm just letting you know my experience. But besides that, so we successfully breastfed to her first birthday, and I thought when she's 1, I'm gonna cut it off. Like, she doesn't need it anymore, it's fine. But it's hard to say that until you're actually there in the moment. So when she was 1, she was nowhere near ready to wean off of my breast, and I didn't have any problem with it. My husband never had a problem with it. He was my biggest supporter through my breastfeeding journey. I was really just more so worried about what my family was going to say, like, you're still breastfeeding a 1-year-old. My husband always reassured me, it doesn't matter what our family, what our friends think, this is what's best for our child. So I continued to breastfeed past 1, and I told myself, okay, 2 years old is when I'm going to stop breastfeeding. And I think it's called the World Organization for Breastfeeding actually recommends breastfeeding until 2 years of age, I believe. So I made it to 2, and I said, oh my gosh. Then I started thinking, is she ever going to be ready to get off my boob? Did I wait too long? And the answer was still no. My baby, she was only 2. She needed the comfort. I'm her mother. If they can't expect to get that comfort from their mother, you know, who else can they really get it from? So I still didn't have any problem telling my family and friends that I breastfed to 2 years old. I was actually really proud of everything that we had gone through to get there, and that we were still successfully breastfeeding. So I was happy, I was proud of it. So around 2 years and 1 month, I decided to start trying to wean. She was not ready, but I just stopped. You can't tell because I have a push-up bra on right now. I stopped breastfeeding on my right breast first because it was always my boob that produced less, and I just let her breastfeed on my left every night. I would just let her breastfeed on one side, and then she would kind of get fussy and I would just rock her, you know, pat her back, and she would fall asleep. And then like within a day or two, she got used to only breastfeeding on one side. My milk completely dried up on this side, and I continued breastfeeding on one boob for the entire rest of my breastfeeding journey. So from like the time my daughter was 2 years old and 1 month till I stopped in March. I just stopped this past March, so that's all the time she had breastfed on my left boob. By that time, by 2 years old, she was only breastfeeding like, I would say 2 to 3 times a day. And when I started to wean my daughter, I would stop the morning feedings. When we wake up, she would kind of ask me for it, and I'd be like, do you want to go get some pancakes in the morning? Do you want to go make some oatmeal? And I would kind of get her mind off of it. So she really didn't depend on it for breakfast or in the morning anymore. And the only time past like 2 years and 1 month, she would honestly just start be breastfeeding at night for bed. So I remember how I didn't have confidence in myself in the beginning of my breastfeeding journey. It was so hard to push past even that first month, you know, getting over the C-section and, you know, trying to adjust to life with a newborn baby away from your family. It was really hard, but I am really glad that I stuck to it, and it is something that I will always be proud of. I will always be proud of our breastfeeding journey and how far we made it, how far I pushed. I did deal with mastitis one time. That was rough, but we pushed through it. You know, we breastfed through moving through the military. We moved 2 houses. This is our 3rd house in 4 years. We breastfed on a plane. We breastfed driving from Kansas to Texas when my daughter was 3 months old. We've done a lot of breastfeeding in crazy places, in crazy situations, but I would not change a single thing. I loved our breastfeeding journey, and I truly would not change a thing. I would go through all the pain again just to get the bond that me and my daughter have now. And what was I going to say? And I am excited whenever the time comes for me and my husband to have our 2nd baby. I will definitely be breastfeeding, although we have no plans right now for another child. So yeah, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to give some comfort to new moms or moms to be. If you have problems in the beginning, do not give up. Have confidence in yourself, reach out for support, go to a breastfeeding class, find a lactation consultant, and keep going. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!